I think my gimmick was being myself. My name is Bob Backlund. I weighed 230 pounds. I was 6 feet tall, and it didn't take a lot to come up with that. And I think it got sort of special, somebody just being himself in the world of professional wrestling. I started training in Minneapolis. There's a place called the 7th Street Gym, and there was a wrestler there by the name of Eddie Sharkey. And they had a ring in the back of this weightlifting gym that they trained people at night. And I was training there lifting weights, and there was some people from the older AWA that were there. They asked me to train because they knew I had wrestled in college, and I was doing pretty good in the weightlifting as far as strength. So they were pretty interested in me being with them. So I joined up with them. I trained for about 6 to 8 months. Finally finished up the training, which was pretty rough. And then I sent some pictures out to different promoters all over the country. Leroy McGurk was the first one that said, "Okay, come on down and wrestle for me." And he was in Louisiana territory, Oklahoma territory. The office was in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And that's where I started in my career in professional wrestling. On February 20th of 1978, when I wrestled Billy Superstar Graham in Madison Square Garden. That was something that comes up just about every time I talk to somebody that's been a follower of the wrestling business. And after that match, I became the WWF champion. I was really worried prior to that match if the people were going to accept me. I came from Princeton, Minnesota, which is a real small town. There was only 2,500 people in the town. There was 2,700 people in Madison Square Garden that night. My favorite move was always the cross-face chicken wing. And the chicken wing has been in wrestling for a number of years, especially in amateur wrestling. It goes back to the beginning of wrestling. And then another thing in amateur wrestling, they have the crossface, where you put your wrist across the guy's chin and turn his head sideways. I was the first one in 1982 to clasp my hands with both of those holds on, and that's why they call it the crossface chicken wing. The biggest injuries that I had happened in 1973. I was in a battle royal in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and the place where I trained at, it didn't have a ring that was up on stilts. The ring was maybe on blocks, but only 6 inches off the floor where I trained. So I didn't learn how to take a fall over the top rope and land on the floor, where it was a 4-foot drop. It was just going over the top rope, and then the floor was right there almost. It didn't have that drop down when the ring wasn't up. So I took somebody threw me over the top rope, and I went over the top rope, and I hit my hip on the side of the ring, and I got a bruise from my knee up to my ribs, and it really, I still feel the injury today. I have to say the most important person to me was Vince McMahon Sr. He put me in a position where I could support my family, and like I said before, send my daughter to the best schools I could. But the reason I liked him so much and respected him so much is because you didn't have to worry about signing a contract with him. All you had to do was reach out and shake his hand, and he gave you a word. I left Princeton, Minnesota with $20 in my pocket in a 1968 green Chevrolet. My mom and dad weren't wealthy. They gave me a big hug and said, "Good luck." And I had dollar signs going through my head because I thought I was going to be making a lot of money in the wrestling world. I made a reservation at the Sheraton that night because I thought I was going to make all this money. Well, I wrestled, I sat around, everybody got paid, and I was just a new guy on the block, and they paid me $5. And later on I realized that they were trying to discourage me. They were trying to make me quit. They were trying to break me. But obviously that night I couldn't afford to stay at the Sheraton, so I ended up staying in the trunk of my car. And I got through that night, but then the next night I was in the trunk of my car also. It ended up where I was sleeping in the trunk of my car for almost a year.
I don't have an opponent tonight! I haven't wrestled for years! Where are you coming from? I am out of the wrestling business! And the people still love me! They want me! I'm not wrestling tonight! But if I were, I'd put him in the crossface chicken wing! I thought we already had that discussion. You're a bigger plebeian. You're quagmired in a sea of hypocrisy. Sit up straight out there! You're starting to agitate me, and I'm here to agitate you. Good night. Mr. Backlund is going home.